Hi, I'm Bill Wild of Assured Research. Thanks so much for joining this quick hit video where we'll focus on one research note, really one part of one research note drawn from our April 2024 Assured briefing. If you're a subscriber, thank you. We appreciate it. And if you're not a subscriber, but you enjoy the content and want to learn more, we invite you to reach out. We'd be happy to share our April briefing with you and also to start you on a trial to our work. So let's get right into it. And while I click over to the presentation here, I'll just share with you that what we're going to look at is loss experience from the 9/11 era reserving cycle. So think late 1990s, early 2000s. There's questions, and reasonable questions at that, at whether the loss reserving cycle, which the industry is now experiencing, mostly from the soft market years of call it 2015, 2016 to 2019, whether and how the 9/11 era, the developments of the 9/11 era loss reserving cycle could inform what we might expect for the one that we're currently in. Now, we don't think that the loss reserving cycle this time around is going to be as bad as it was in the early part of this century. We titled our annual loss reserve study, released in mid-March. We titled that Keep Calm and Carry On, which should tell you something. We're not looking past what we think are still reserve deficiencies in the other liability occurrence line, which we're looking at here, or real hot spots, particularly in the area of commercial auto liability, both pricing and reserving hotspots, but rather that we just don't think that we're going to look back and say that this reserving cycle was anything like what we experienced at the beginning of this century. That's what the graph on the far left is trying to tell us, or is revealing. If you, what you're looking at, that blue line represents the difference between the final developed ultimate loss ratio by accident year, looking at accident years 1997 through 2019, the final 10-month developed ultimate loss ratio compared to its initial loss ratio, the initial ultimate loss ratio pick, measured in loss ratio points. So to put some numbers behind it, accident years 1997 through 2002 developed adversely by an average of 19 loss ratio points. That would be the kind of the area under the curve that you see there, with a peak for accident year 1999 at 31 points of adverse development. Now, accident years 2015 through 2019 have already developed adversely. That's what the blue line that you see there. They haven't yet reached their 10 years of full development. Accident year 2019 is at 60 months or 5 years of development in actuarial parlance at year end 2023. The red line shows the results from our reserve study, where we think there is still adverse development to be experienced. But even if you go to our red line, you see how far that falls below the peak from the 9/11 era. And the math is that we'd expect about 10 points of average adverse development when all the dust settles, with a peak development on accident year 17 at 13 loss ratio points. So it's based on this that we say, hey, we understand it's a reserving cycle. There are some real hot spots, but it's not as bad as it was. The graph in the middle is intended to provide insights into how the loss ratio developed over the 10 years from the initial loss ratio pick by accident year to what we're kind of forced to call the final ultimate resting point 10 years later, just based on the limitations from the statutory blanks. Difficult provides an interesting graphical picture. A little hard, I think, to draw too much from this, other than that light blue bar seems to contribute the most to the development, and that's occurring in between the 36th and 48 months, or 3 and 4 years of development, maybe into the 60 months as well. Bit easier to see, I think, on the right hand side, where we're focusing on accident years 98 through 2002, and we're showing how each of those developed on a percentage basis over the 10 years subsequent to their initial reporting at 12 months or 1 year of development here. And again, at 10 years, we're saying, okay, that's the final resting point. So you see how they develop over time. There's actually a reasonable amount of consistency to them. And what we've done at the bottom is map the stages of development to the current soft market years. Accident year 19, for instance, is it 60 months or was it year end 23? 5 years of development. The parallel, a strict comparison to the 9/11 era would say, okay, those years were on average 64% fully reported or developed, I should say, by their 5th year. By their 6th year, which would be relevant for accident year 18, they were 72% developed, and so on. So from this, we'd say if you take a strict application of the way events unfolded in the 9/11 era, you'd say the biggest risk is probably still on accident years 17 through 19, the biggest risk for adverse development. Boy, accident years 15 through 16 really should be largely done by now. We don't think that that strict application really fully holds. It's certainly insightful and worth doing this exercise. We think because of greater transparency, greater data, more people looking at reserves, and also improvements and kind of tightening up of various actuarial standards and processes. We don't think that strict application is going to fully apply, and that the graph on the left will kind of be operative over time. But still a useful exercise, and we hope you got some benefit from this. You may have a different view, which we'd welcome the chance to hear. But we'll just thank you for your time and attention, and reach out if you'd like to learn more. Thanks again.